What if I told you that some of the UK's most famous cities are on the verge of collapse? It might sound like a disaster movie, but this is real life, and the warning signs are already here. From crumbling infrastructure to skyrocketing living costs, and even the terrifying impacts of climate change, these cities are hurtling toward a breaking point, and it could all come crashing down as soon as 2025. Take London, for example, where housing prices have spiraled so far out of control that families are being forced out of the city they've called home for generations. Or Glasgow, where rising floodwaters threaten to submerge entire neighbourhoods. And what about Birmingham? The city that once thrived as the UK's industrial powerhouse is now grappling with an unemployment crisis that's tearing its communities apart. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about buildings and bridges collapsing. This is about entire ways of life being destroyed. Millions of people could be left to face economic turmoil, mass displacement, and environmental devastation. Which cities are at risk? And what shocking truths are being hidden in plain sight? Stick with us as we uncover the 10 UK cities that experts warn could collapse in just a few short years. Some of these names might even surprise you. Number 10. Sheffield. Sheffield, once hailed as the heart of the UK's steel industry, is now standing on the edge of a dangerous precipice. A city that was once synonymous with innovation and industrial might is facing an alarming decline, and experts warn that it could collapse under the weight of its challenges by 2025. The biggest issue? Infrastructure decay. Sheffield's bridges, roads, and public transportation systems, many of which were built during its industrial peak, are now falling apart. Cracks in vital structures and failing maintenance have left the city's transit system struggling to keep up with demand. Commuters frequently experience delays, and experts fear that a major infrastructure failure could occur at any moment. But it doesn't stop there. Economic struggles are crippling Sheffield. As manufacturing industries disappeared, the city tried to reinvent itself, but recovery has been painfully slow. Local businesses are closing, unemployment rates are climbing, and opportunities for young people are dwindling. Many are being forced to leave, taking their talent and hope with them. To make matters worse, Sheffield's budget cuts have stretched public services to the breaking point. Schools, hospitals, and community resources are struggling to keep up with the needs of the population. This has created a ripple effect, further deepening the city's economic and social problems. Imagine a city once brimming with promise, now plagued by empty factories, pothole-ridden streets, and a growing sense of despair. Will Sheffield find a way to rise from the ashes, or is its future already sealed? Stay tuned as we dive into more cities facing similar fates. You won't believe which ones made the list. Number 9. Bristol. Bristol, known for its vibrant culture and historic charm, is now at the centre of a brewing crisis that threatens to reshape the city forever. What's causing this alarming decline? Gentrification and cultural displacement. In recent years, Bristol has become a hotspot for investors and affluent newcomers looking to capitalise on its trendy appeal. While this has brought sleek new developments and luxury apartments, it's also driven up the cost of living to unbearable levels. Long-time residents are being pushed out of their neighbourhoods, unable to afford the skyrocketing rents and property prices. The very communities that gave Bristol its unique identity are being erased, leaving behind a shell of what the city used to be. But gentrification isn't the only problem. Bristol's infrastructure is buckling under its own popularity. Overcrowded roads, insufficient public transport, and a lack of affordable housing have created a perfect storm of frustration for locals. Environmental concerns are also mounting, as unchecked urban development is eating away at green spaces and putting pressure on the city's fragile ecosystems. On top of that, Bristol's economic divide is growing wider by the day. While parts of the city flourish, other areas are being left behind, creating stark inequalities. Tensions between these communities are rising, and with resources stretched thin, the city is struggling to find solutions. Bristol once stood as a beacon of creativity and innovation, but today, it teeters on the edge of losing its soul. If these challenges go unaddressed, the city's vibrant heart could collapse, leaving behind a fractured and unrecognisable shadow of its former self. Number 8. Newcastle. Newcastle, a city with a rich history and industrial legacy, is now grappling with challenges that could push it to the brink of collapse. Once celebrated for its energy sector and bustling community spirit, Newcastle is now facing an energy crisis and economic uncertainty that threaten to unravel its foundation. At the heart of the problem is the decline of local industries. As the UK shifts toward renewable energy, the fossil fuel-based industries that once powered Newcastle's economy are struggling to adapt. This transition, while necessary for the environment, has left thousands of workers unemployed and entire communities without financial stability. The energy crisis is hitting hardest in the winter months, with families unable to afford skyrocketing heating bills as energy companies face their own financial turmoil. The economic downturn is only part of the story. Newcastle's infrastructure is showing signs of neglect, with outdated systems straining under the weight of modern demands. Public transport delays are becoming a daily occurrence, and roads riddled with potholes make commuting a nightmare. For a city that prides itself on connectivity and community, these issues are deeply felt by its residents. Social challenges compound the problem. Rising inequality and growing homelessness are creating visible divisions in Newcastle. The once thriving city centre is increasingly marked by shuttered businesses and struggling local shops, painting a picture of a city in distress. Newcastle's resilience has carried it through tough times before, but with mounting crises in energy, infrastructure, and social stability, the future looks uncertain. Will this proud city be able to navigate its way out of collapse, or are these challenges too steep to overcome? The answer remains to be seen. Number 7. Liverpool. Liverpool, a city renowned for its musical legacy, cultural vibrancy, and maritime history, is now facing an unsettling reality. A growing storm of social unrest and economic instability that could lead to collapse by 2025. The most pressing issue in Liverpool is deepening political and economic tensions. Decades of uneven development have left parts of the city thriving while others languish in neglect. As new investment floods into the waterfront and high-end developments, older neighbourhoods are left to crumble, sparking resentment among residents who feel abandoned by local authorities. This divide has fueled mass protests, strikes, and community unrest, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty and tension. Liverpool's economic challenges further exacerbate the problem. While the city once stood as a global shipping hub, its port activity has drastically reduced, and efforts to diversify the economy have faced mixed success. With rising unemployment and a struggling job market, many families are finding it harder to make ends meet. Local businesses are also feeling the pinch, with closures becoming a common sight on once busy streets. Infrastructure issues are adding to the strain. Aging public transport systems, road congestion, and crumbling buildings are becoming symbols of the city's decline. For a city that prides itself on its heritage and community spirit, these challenges are deeply disheartening. Social inequality is perhaps the most visible and painful wound. As poverty rates rise, homelessness becomes more widespread, creating visible divides in a city that has always been known for its warmth and solidarity. Liverpool's history is one of resilience and transformation, but these mounting pressures raise a chilling question. Can the city pull together in time to avoid disaster, or will these challenges push it toward an irreversible collapse? Number 6. Leeds. Leeds, once a shining example of northern prosperity and innovation, is now facing challenges that could lead to its downfall by 2025. Known for its thriving financial sector and rich industrial history, the city is struggling with an economic downturn, public service failures, and growing inequality. The biggest red flag? A crumbling local economy. While Leeds has long prided itself on being a business and financial hub, the recent economic slowdown has hit hard. Major companies are relocating, job opportunities are drying up, and small businesses are struggling to stay afloat. For many residents, especially those in lower income neighbourhoods, this means fewer options and rising poverty levels. Public services, once the backbone of Leeds, are also under immense strain. Healthcare and education systems are faltering, with longer wait times for hospital appointments and underfunded schools struggling to meet the needs of students. Public transport has become unreliable, leaving commuters frustrated and disconnected. These cracks in the system are creating a ripple effect, deepening discontent among residents. Adding to the chaos is a growing divide between the city's affluent and struggling areas. Inequality is becoming more visible, with luxury developments rising in the city centre, while surrounding neighbourhoods fall further into decline. This stark contrast is fueling resentment and creating a fractured sense of community. Leeds, once a beacon of opportunity, now faces the grim possibility of economic and social collapse. The city's leaders face a monumental task in addressing these challenges, but with resources stretched thin and frustrations mounting, the clock is ticking. Will Leeds find a way to rebuild and reunite its divided communities? Or is it destined to follow a darker path? The future hangs in the balance. Number 5. Cardiff. Cardiff, the capital of Wales and a city renowned for its rich history and cultural vibrancy, is now teetering on the edge of crisis. Despite its picturesque surroundings and thriving tourism industry, Cardiff faces a set of challenges that could lead to its collapse by 2025. One of the biggest culprits? Over-tourism. Cardiff's status as a major tourist destination has brought in millions of visitors, but this surge in popularity has placed immense pressure on the city's infrastructure. Roads are overcrowded, public transport is overburdened, and the city centre often feels more like a tourist hub than a place for locals. The influx of visitors has driven up housing prices, pushing many Cardiff residents out of their own neighbourhoods and creating a housing affordability crisis. The environment isn't faring much better. Cardiff's natural beauty, from the nearby coastlines to its parks, is under threat from urban expansion and unchecked tourism. Litter, pollution, and damage to natural habitats are becoming more noticeable, leaving a lasting scar on the city's landscape. Economically, Cardiff's heavy reliance on tourism and service industries is proving to be a double-edged sword. The city is vulnerable to economic downturns, and as visitor numbers fluctuate, local businesses struggle to maintain stability. This dependence has left Cardiff's economy fragile, with few industries stepping in to diversify the city's financial base. Cardiff's charm and cultural identity are at risk of being swallowed by these mounting problems. Without a shift towards sustainable tourism and greater investment in infrastructure and housing, the city's future hangs in the balance. Can Cardiff adapt before it's too late? Or is it destined to become another cautionary tale of a city overwhelmed by its own success? Number 4. Glasgow. Glasgow, Scotland's largest city and a symbol of industrial strength, now faces a series of mounting crises that could lead to its collapse by 2025. Despite its rich cultural heritage and resilient population, Glasgow is struggling with climate change impacts, economic stagnation, and social disparities. One of the most urgent threats to Glasgow is climate change. The city has been experiencing more frequent and severe rainfall, leading to devastating floods that disrupt daily life and destroy infrastructure. Streets turn into rivers, homes are rendered uninhabitable, and businesses face repeated damages. Experts warn that Glasgow's ageing drainage systems are ill-equipped to handle these extreme weather events, leaving the city increasingly vulnerable to environmental catastrophes. Economically, Glasgow is still grappling with the legacy of its industrial decline. While sectors like tech and tourism have brought some revitalisation, they haven't filled the void left by the collapse of traditional industries. Unemployment remains high in many parts of the city, and young people often leave in search of better opportunities elsewhere. The result? Communities struggling to thrive in the face of persistent poverty and lack of investment. Socially, Glasgow's inequality is stark. While certain areas have seen significant redevelopment, others remain neglected, creating a visible divide. Health inequalities are among the worst in the UK, with many residents facing lower life expectancy and poorer living conditions. Glasgow's future depends on its ability to adapt. Tackling climate challenges, diversifying its economy, and addressing inequality are critical steps. But time is running out. If these issues remain unresolved, Glasgow's proud history could give way to a deeply uncertain future, leaving its residents to wonder if their city will ever regain its strength. Number 3. Manchester. Manchester, the beating heart of the North and a city synonymous with innovation and culture, is now under immense pressure from challenges that could lead to its collapse by 2025. Despite its reputation as a thriving hub for technology and business, Manchester is grappling with rising inequality, over-reliance on its tech economy, and an overstretched infrastructure. Inequality is perhaps Manchester's most glaring issue. While the city centre is booming with luxury developments and tech startups, many surrounding neighbourhoods are being left behind. These areas face high unemployment rates, poor housing conditions, and underfunded public services. This growing divide between the haves and have-nots is creating tension, eroding the sense of community that Manchester was once known for. Adding to the strain is Manchester's overdependence on the tech economy. While tech investment has brought jobs and innovation, it has also made the city's economy dangerously unbalanced. If the tech bubble bursts or investment slows, Manchester could find itself in economic freefall, with few other industries robust enough to cushion the blow. Infrastructure, too, is reaching its breaking point. Manchester's transport systems are plagued with delays and overcrowding, and the city's rapid expansion has outpaced its ability to maintain roads, utilities, and public spaces. Residents and commuters alike are feeling the pressure, with daily frustrations adding to an already strained population. Manchester has always prided itself on resilience and reinvention, but these challenges are testing the city's limits. If inequalities aren't addressed and the economy isn't diversified, Manchester risks becoming a cautionary tale, a city that had it all but couldn't sustain its success. Will Manchester rise to meet these challenges, or is its iconic status at risk of fading away? Number 2. Birmingham. Birmingham, the UK's second largest city, and once the industrial powerhouse of the nation, is now facing a series of crises that could bring it to its knees by 2025. Despite its rich history and diverse population, the city is grappling with post-industrial decline, rising unemployment, and a struggling infrastructure that threaten to push it toward collapse. The root of the issue lies in Birmingham's industrial legacy. Once a global leader in manufacturing, the city has seen its traditional industries fade away, leaving behind economic stagnation and unemployment. While efforts have been made to modernise Birmingham's economy, many of its residents remain trapped in low-paying jobs or unable to find work at all. Youth unemployment is particularly alarming, with many young people unable to access opportunities to build a stable future. Infrastructure challenges compound the problem. Birmingham's roads are among the most congested in the UK, with traffic gridlock costing residents hours of their lives each week. Public transport systems are outdated and unreliable, further frustrating commuters and hindering the city's growth. Meanwhile, housing shortages and rising rents have left many struggling to find affordable places to live. Social tensions are also brewing beneath the surface. Cuts to public services have stretched resources like healthcare, education, and policing to their limits, creating dissatisfaction and unrest among residents. These cuts disproportionately affect Birmingham's most vulnerable communities, deepening divides and fueling resentment. Once a city of opportunity and innovation, Birmingham now faces a stark choice: invest in rebuilding its economy, infrastructure, and public services, or risk falling into further decline? The question is, does Birmingham have the leadership and resources to pull off such a transformation, or is its fate already sealed? The clock is ticking for the UK's second city. Number 1. London. London, the UK's capital and one of the most globally recognised cities, is now facing an unprecedented crisis that could see it teeter on the brink of collapse by 2025. Despite its image as a world-leading metropolis, London is plagued by skyrocketing living costs, crumbling infrastructure, and worsening inequality. Housing affordability is at the core of London's issues. With some of the highest property prices in the world, even middle-income families are being priced out of their own city. Rents continue to soar, forcing many residents to leave London altogether in search of affordable housing. This mass exodus is not only breaking up communities, but also depriving the city of essential workers, from teachers to healthcare professionals who can no longer afford to live where they work. London's infrastructure is crumbling under the weight of its population. Aging roads, overcrowded public transport, and underfunded utilities are creating daily headaches for millions of residents. Delays, breakdowns, and disruptions are becoming the norm, leading many to question whether London's systems can handle the strain. Inequality is another glaring problem. While some areas of London showcase extreme wealth, others are mired in poverty, with residents struggling to access basic services like healthcare and education. This divide is fueling tensions and creating an unsustainable dynamic that could lead to widespread social unrest. As a global financial hub, London's economy might appear untouchable, but even this is at risk. Economic uncertainty, rising costs, and declining quality of life are pushing businesses and residents to consider other cities. London has survived countless challenges throughout its history, but the current combination of economic, social, and infrastructural issues is testing its limits. Will the UK's capital find a way to rebuild, or is the city's golden age finally coming to an end? The challenges facing the UK's cities are not distant possibilities. They are immediate and alarming. From economic collapse and crumbling infrastructure to climate crises and social unrest, these issues are already visible in places like London, Birmingham, and Glasgow. Cities that once symbolised progress and opportunity now stand on the brink of a collapse that could reshape the country's future. But this isn't just about statistics or crumbling buildings. It's about people. Families being priced out of their homes, workers losing their jobs, and entire communities struggling to survive in the face of overwhelming odds. Each of these cities represents not just a place, but a way of life that could soon be lost. Yet collapse is not inevitable. It's a wake-up call for governments, communities, and individuals to take action. The fate of these cities depends on bold decisions and transformative changes that prioritise sustainability, equity, and innovation. The UK's cities have a long history of resilience, and with the right solutions, they can overcome these challenges. But time is running out, and the question remains: will we act before it's too late, or will we watch as these once thriving cities fall into ruin? Solution: while the issues facing the UK's cities are complex, there are actionable solutions that can help turn the tide. To prevent collapse, cities must focus on 3 critical areas: sustainability, economic diversification, and social equity. Invest in sustainable infrastructure. Governments need to prioritise rebuilding and modernising infrastructure, including roads, public transport, and utilities. Incorporating green technologies, such as renewable energy sources and flood-resistant designs, will help cities adapt to climate change and reduce their environmental impact. Sustainable urban planning, with a focus on preserving green spaces, will also create healthier environments for residents. Diversify local economies. Cities that rely on a single industry, like tech in Manchester or tourism in Cardiff, are particularly vulnerable. Encouraging investment in diverse sectors, including clean energy, manufacturing, and creative industries, can create more stable job markets. Offering retraining programs for workers will help them transition into emerging industries and reduce unemployment. Address social inequality. Affordable housing initiatives are essential to prevent families from being priced out of cities. Governments must introduce policies that cap rent increases, provide subsidies for low-income families, and invest in public housing projects. Additionally, funding for healthcare, education, and public services must be increased to ensure equitable access for all residents. Community involvement and local leadership. Engaging communities in decision-making and empowering local governments with adequate funding will ensure solutions are tailored to each city's unique challenges. Strong leadership at the city level will be critical in driving these initiatives forward. The future of these cities depends on bold, innovative action. With the right investments and policies, the UK's cities can overcome their challenges and emerge stronger, more resilient, and better prepared for the future. The future of these cities depends on all of us, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. What solutions do you think could save them? Let us know in the comments. And if this video intrigued you, don't miss our previous one. It's packed with insights you won't want to miss. We pour countless hours into creating these videos, so if you enjoyed it, please support us by subscribing. It's just one click, but it makes all the difference.